Sorry, had to cut off unexpectedly there. Someone was coming into my office. But anyway, we're going to pick up with when you're the talker, moving over to page 170 in the text for effective interpersonal communication. So when you're doing the talking, you want to structure your communication. Think out the what and the why of the communication. Then when you know what you're going to say and what you're trying to accomplish, you consider how to best communicate it. Second, consider your listeners' needs. Not just their needs, but their interests and their attitudes. Try to exercise empathy at all times, constantly judging what you're saying from your listener's point of view. Next, use appropriate language. Deliver your comments in language appropriately suited to the level of knowledge, education, and experience of your listener. Never talk down to or over the head of another person. And lastly, ask for feedback. Except in the direst of emergencies, and even in emergencies when you're not convinced that your listener is prepared to respond appropriately, follow up your communication immediately with a request for feedback. Now, when you're the listener, your job is to pay attention. Really listen. Your undivided attention conquers many potential obstacles. Listen for meaning. Striving constantly to determine what is being said and why it's being said. Thirdly, consider the whole person, searching out attitudes and feelings as well as meanings. Keep in mind that words and other signs, such as the nonverbal signals given out by other person, cannot be fully separated from attitudes and feelings. Next, be as patient as necessary to encourage the individual to try to communicate fully. And then be prepared to compromise as necessary to achieve agreement or understanding, and consider yielding completely on minor points or uninterrupted details. Compromise is not the dirty word it is regarded to be by some. Rather, reasonable compromise is often the most important step in establishing mutual understanding. And lastly, again, provide feedback. Return the message to the speaker in your own words, using discussion to iron out the differences until you both agree that the message sent and the message received are the same. And again, availability, the open door attitude. So, my door is always open has to be an attitude, not a platitude. And being readily available to employees is critical. I've said it before, my door is always open. And it was always open. Whether I was busy, whether I wasn't at work in my office, if I was at home working for the day, they had an avenue to get to me. Whether it was by email, calling my cell phone, sending me a text saying they needed me, my door, metaphorically speaking, was always open. So, your job is to help your employees get their work done. In addition to guiding and directing their overall efforts, you must answer questions, deal with problems, silence rumors, and put fears and suspicions to rest. Remember that your employees do not work for you as much as they work with you, and that a large part of your function is to run interference for your employees so that they can accomplish their work as efficiently as possible. Your one-to-one relationship with each employee is critical to the institution as a whole. The way each employee sees you, available, friendly, caring, and helpful, or perhaps the opposite, so may he or she come to see the entire organization. As a member of management, you represent the organization to the employee. The impression you create as a person will contribute, for good or ill, to the individual employee's impression of the organization as a whole. So again, we hit the highlights. We didn't cover every section. Be sure to read this entire chapter. It's a lot of good information. Thanks.